All right, let me tell y'all something that keeps happening in professional sports. A lot of athletes spend 20 years grinding to reach the league. Then they hand their money to somebody with a suit and a finance degree. And sometimes that's the worst decision they can ever make, because a former Morgan Stanley financial advisor just got convicted in federal court for defrauding multiple NBA players out of millions of dollars. Not strangers, not random investors, NBA players. Guys who trusted him to protect their wealth. And instead, he allegedly used that trust to run a financial hustle. Now, let's break down exactly what happened. Now, who is the man behind the scheme? The advisor at the center of the case is Darryl M. Cohen, a former broker at Morgan Stanley. A federal jury in Manhattan convicted him of wire fraud and investment advisor fraud. The case came after a month-long federal trial. Prosecutors argued that between 2017 and 2020, Cohen orchestrated a scheme that targeted professional athletes who were his clients, and the victims weren't just anonymous players. Testimonies came from former NBA players like Chandler Parsons, Jrue Holiday, and Courtney Lee. These were real clients trusting a financial professional with their money. Now, according to prosecutors, Cohen partnered with a financial planner to sell athletes life settlement investments. Life settlements are real financial products, but here's the problem. The deals were allegedly massively overpriced. Prosecutors said policies were sold to the athletes at inflated prices up to 310% above the value. That means the investments were marked up so high that the players were massively overpaying, and the people behind the deal were pocketing huge profits. The planner's firm reportedly made $4.5 million in profit from these transactions. It's a whole lot of money. And Cohen personally received $246,000 in undisclosed kickbacks. In other words, the guy advising the players was secretly getting paid to sell them bad deals. Now, the scheme didn't stop there. Prosecutors also said Cohen moved money directly out of client accounts. One example, about $500,000 was wired out of two clients' accounts and sent to an amateur basketball league. Some of that money was then used to build a home gym in Cohen's backyard, like he was really trying to make the league or something. Let that sink in. Money for NBA players paid for a private gym. When clients started asking questions, the scheme allegedly turned into a money shuffle. At one point, prosecutors said Cohen transferred $328,125 from one athlete's account to repay another athlete who was complaining about missing funds. That's robbing Peter to pay Paul. A classic fraud move. You can take money from client B to calm down client A. That's how a lot of financial scams really start unraveling. It's always a paper trail. Now, the scheme began collapsing around the year 2020. And interestingly, it reportedly started when one of the NBA players applied for membership at a country club. The club required disclosure of charitable donations. That process exposed financial discrepancies. And once investigators started digging, the house of cards began to fall. Morgan Stanley says they cooperated fully with investigators. Cohen was fired in March of 2021 after the concerns surfaced. Now, he was later barred from the financial industry by FINRA in 2021 for refusing to cooperate with an investigation. Cohen's lawyers tried to argue that some transactions were actually authorized, responsibility belonged partly to another financial planner involved in the deals, but the jury ultimately did not buy that defense. Now, they convicted him on the fraud charges. Here's the uncomfortable truth, though. Professional athletes are some of the most targeted people in finance. Why? Because they have large amounts of cash, short careers, limited time to learn finance, huge networks of people asking for money. Now, that combination makes them prime targets for financial predators. And sadly, that ain't the first time. There have been multiple cases of fake investment funds, sports agency scams, real estate schemes, and crypto scams, all targeting athletes. But there's a silent rule in finance. The more money you have, the more people try to take it. Athletes enter the league young, a lot of us from the hood. Suddenly they have millions of dollars and everyone shows up saying, let me manage your money. But if the advisor isn't ethical, that trust becomes a weapon. So the real question isn't just, did this advisor steal from NBA players? The real question is, how many more athletes are being taken advantage of right now, like today? Because if a Wall Street professional at a major firm can do this, imagine what happens with smaller, less regulated advisors. This case isn't just about fraud. It's about financial literacy and protection. Because making millions in sports doesn't mean you understand how to protect millions. And sometimes the biggest opponent athletes face isn't on the court, it's the person managing their money. Peace.